My name is Sam Geier, and I'm an environmental science major. I got my cherry blossom tattoo in Japan, actually, in Harajuku. And cherry blossoms symbolize a lot of things, but primarily in Japanese culture, they represent a period of hope and renewal. And cherry blossoms only actually bloom for like 2 weeks out of the year. But even though they're dormant for most of the year, they always come back strong and beautiful. And so I had a really rough year this past year with mental health, physical health, just a lot of personal challenges. And so getting this tattoo kind of reminded me that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that there's always that period of renewal and this time to be able to persist and come back from that, even stronger than you were before. And it also is a reminder that life is too short to not enjoy it. I went on this trip without knowing anyone in the class that I went to Japan with, and I had to do a lot of things for myself, and I realized that I can do them, and that if it's important to me, I can get it done. So I have spina bifida, which is a neurological defect. It's basically caused by the spine not fusing properly in the womb. And there's a really wide range of effects that can have for each person with spina bifida. So it varies a lot. It's not always the same for each person. For me personally, I don't have really any feeling in my feet, and my lower legs are a lot weaker because of the lack of nerve function. Muscles tend to atrophy, and so I wear leg braces. I started using a wheelchair in 8th grade, so I haven't used a wheelchair my whole life. It's definitely progressed over time. But I primarily use the wheelchair about 99% of the time. I can stand, which helps a lot for transferring, reaching things in my apartment. I can take a few steps with a walker, but I'm primarily using a wheelchair at this time. I'm largely viewing this resolution as an opportunity to educate the LMU community. I think most discrimination stems from ignorance. And so I'm really looking at this as an opportunity to educate faculty, staff, and students as to how they can be better advocates for people with disabilities. I think it's really important for people to remember that sometimes making things slightly more convenient for themselves or easy for themselves can really make something else impossible for someone with a disability. I think my biggest concern is empowering students so that they feel like they can speak up for themselves and that they have a voice, and that they don't always have to go through a group like DSS in order to get their needs met, that they feel like they can directly contact people if they are having a problem with accessibility, if a lift stops working, if an elevator stops working, if they need an automated button to be put on a door, things like that. So I think that there has been a lot of progress that's been made since my time being at LMU, but I think that there's a lot more room to improve, and so I'm hoping that this resolution does that, and that by doing so I kind of leave behind this legacy at LMU that makes it easier for students in the future to have their needs met. I started experimenting with special effects makeup in high school, actually, but really just messing around with things that I had at home, like eyeshadow and stuff like that. And then coming to LMU, I actually didn't realize it was that big of a film school when I applied. And I had a lot of friends in the film department, and still do. So I started to work on sets and building up my kit that way. So it's really just a side hobby, but it's my way to maintain being creative in some way. I think sometimes in the sciences we lose a little bit of that fun creativity. So I kind of do that on the side and help out friends with Halloween makeup and film stuff. I really like doing the gory stuff, which is funny because I'm completely afraid of blood and needles and anything like that, but as long as I'm the one doing it, it's okay. Okay, so a weird thing about me is that I'm really good at making ugly faces. I don't know, this is something that like I pride myself in my ability to make ugly faces. Like I commit, when we do ugly pictures, it's not a joke. I also do some weird voices, I guess, might be one of them. Oh gosh.
Thank you so much for having this interview. I really appreciate you taking your time.